Omegle. This happened to me a year ago. I was 14 years old and always went on Omegle. I was chatting with this guy. I told him my name and age, very stupid decision, and he suddenly brought up the subject of rape. He started talking about how awesome it was and how girls are whiny, attention-seeking bitches for complaining when a man rapes her. I was scared. I was very and still am outspoken for what I believed in, so naturally I started calling the guy a sick bastard and stuff like that. Then he started talking about how girls are weak, and if they didn't want it, then they could have told the boy to stop, and how they were asking for it because of the clothes girls wear. Then he said out of nowhere, "You have pretty eyes. Green eyes are rare, you know." And I started freaking out because I actually do have green eyes. I disconnected. Later on Facebook, I started getting messages from this guy. He didn't have a profile picture and his name was John Wee. He didn't have pictures or statuses or anything like that. He started sending me dirty messages. I ignored them. Then he commented on one of my statuses. My status was, "We're out of yogurt." And he commented, "I could feed you some of my yogurt, baby." As always, I ignored it. When my mom confronted me about it, I told her I didn't know who he was. She made me block him, which I did. I started getting new messages from another account. "That wasn't very nice, baby. Bad girls need punishment." And I blocked him too. "Remember me from Omegle?" was one of the messages he sent on the third account he made. I started freaking out, and my mom made me delete my Facebook. That stopped it. I don't know how he had my Facebook or how he knew who I was on Omegle. So, creepy guy who somehow knew my Facebook and thinks rape is okay and is sexist. Let's not meet. Omegle has some creepy people. Some of you may have heard of the website Omegle.com. If you haven't, it's a chat website people go to when they're bored and it's anonymous. It's up to you to give out any of your information, but you can easily get out of a conversation and move on to talk to a new person with a click. Around 2012, I went on this website a lot as I got lonely, and I've had some nice conversations on there. I was 16 years old at the time. This is where I met Emily. She was this funny girl who was so easy to talk to. Right away I felt like we had been friends forever, so I gave her my Skype to talk again. Pretty soon, we were talking all day every day for a few months. She said she was from Wales, which I thought was cool. I never met anyone from Wales. I thought she was my best friend I never had. We talked about everything going on in our lives. She would tell me crazy stories about the things she'd done with her friends. We talk about relatable girl stuff. And I would wake up to a Photoshop picture of us and cat and some bad pun written on it about us being best friends forever. Or something stupid like that. We texted all the time, but I wanted to actually call her or video her, but she told me she had gotten into an argument with her stepdad and threw her laptop at the wall and it broke the camera. Right. Well, I thought maybe she can text on Skype and I'll be on video and voice, just so she can see me. Why not? When we did, she wouldn't stop going on about how jealous she was of me, and told me to stop being so beautiful, and it flattered me. I thought she was gorgeous in her pictures, and it was silly for her to be jealous of me at all. Emily was kind of a clinging girl, as she wanted my attention all the time, and would get upset if I fell asleep or didn't respond fast enough. She also started making strange comments about her body, like saying how she thinks she has an ugly vagina, and is worried about it and called it a coin slot. And she'd asked if I looked at it and tell me if it's weird, to which I would just tell her I'm sure it's fine. Don't worry about it. And she said, "I bet yours has sparkles and magic." I could feel she was trying to get a picture out of me. I didn't do it. I changed the subject. Emily would talk about the guy that works at her market and how she had a big crush on him, but was too awkward to say anything. I encouraged her through time to talk to him, and eventually she got the nerve to ask him out. The night she told me this, I remember her asking this question out of the blue. "If I was a guy, what name do you think I'd have?" Suddenly, I had this sinking feeling inside. Reading this as I realized I never heard her voice or saw her in video. She could actually be a guy this whole time, could she? Nah, she's just trying to scare me, right? She tries to get reactions all the time, and her photos add up to everything she talks about. I have nothing to worry about. I decide to join in. John? Aw, I was hoping you would say Jacob. Huh? That's weird. But once again, I thought she was just being her weird self, and moved on to talk about other things. I did tell her she almost scared me though, and she laughed and apologized. One night comes along, and we're talking as normal, and she asked me which state I lived in. I told her because I thought maybe she wanted to see what it looked like compared to where she lives on Google or something. Then she goes, "You're only 500 miles from me." Haha, I'm pretty sure you're more than 500. From Alabama, you're only 500 miles away, that's totally where I am. No, you're not. Yep, I go to whatever school. I look up this school, and sure enough, it is in Alabama. But you can easily just look for a school on Google Maps, so I thought she was making up stuff to get more reactions. "Hey, I fixed my camera. Can we video chat tonight?" Yeah, I was so excited. We had talked for 2 months, and I finally get to see her instead of pictures and texts. I get all set up in the living room and call her. She answered. You know when you feel frozen with fear? And time feels slow? That first second, when I saw him, I thought, maybe that's her brother or friend, and she's going to move the camera to her. Nope. It's just him. While I'm frozen and speechless, he picks up one of his laptops and signs in as Emily to show me that it's him doing all this. He doesn't say anything. He then pulls out a camera and points it towards me. I finally told myself to end the call before he takes a picture. Why did he take this camera out? I don't know, but I try to process everything while my heart is pounding. And even though he may not be near me physically, it was still very creepy and disturbing to me. I pulled myself together and decided to try to get answers. I wrote him simply, "Why?" And he says, "I was dared by my friends to pretend I was a girl on Omegle, but I thought you were really cool, so I kept it up. I stopped talking to the other guys though, just you. I wanted to keep talking to you." Guess what his name was? Jacob. He was 21 years old, or so he said, and he's from Alabama. I couldn't understand how he kept up with his fake life of Emily every day, and even have pictures to make it all seem so legit. It was almost like Emily was real and died that night. This girl in these pictures, who were they? I felt as if she was still out there, but she doesn't exist. Jacob from Omegle. Let's not meet. Omegle gone wrong. Throwaway for a reason. Okay, so I was a 12-year-old kid messing around on Omegle when this one guy pops up. I don't want to be a jerk to him because he was actually quite nice. Lied about my age. Instead of 12, I said 14 or 15. I can't remember. So we start talking and then it all goes downhill from there. He's talking about how his life sucks and he's lonely and thinking about committing suicide. I try to talk him out of it. He continues to talk about suicide. Finally, he says, "If I die, I'm going to take others with me." I panic and I talk to him some more. He just continues to say that. So I'm over here basically worrying, while he's talking about how he had so many guns, and he had some in the back of his car. I try to no avail to convince him otherwise, and he says, "I thank you for being kind to me. My name. I will write your name in blood on my chest when I die." I am freaking out and he disconnects. I shit you not. The next morning, the Sandy Hook shooting happens. I didn't read anything about a name written on the shooter in blood, so I'm kind of skeptical. I don't know if it was really him or not. Probably in the wrong place at the wrong time. Somebody being a sick bastard online scaring young girls. But I'll probably never know. I've been a lurker for a while. Formatting probably sucks. And I sat up all night crying. I told a few people this, but they didn't believe me. I sort of told my sister, but she just brushed it off. Started on Omegle. It started off on Omegle. I'm an 18-year-old at the moment. Since I turned 13 years old, I developed a habit of talking to strangers online. Every day after coming home from school, I used to talk to the numerous idiots, some decent people, some creeps, but nothing as bad as this. For some backstory, I generally follow a generally similar routine on most days. Monday to Thursday, it was go to school, come home, and then just watch a few episodes of Friends or The Middle. On Fridays, I usually went out and chilled with my friends. Saturday was just a day I went to the town center, where there's usually a lot of shops, cinemas, and whatnot. I preferred to go out by myself on this day, though occasionally I went with the friends. I just got home, jumped onto the computer, switching on my usual choice of music, and just unwinding from a rough day at school, watched some YouTube videos, a few episodes of Friends, and then, after eating, proceeded to go on to Omegle. After a few strangers and perverts, I come across a decent guy called Chris. Now, Chris and I exchanged messages for about 40 to 50 minutes, when I just told him a little bit about myself, just some general information, nothing specific to be honest, what I like to do, and just basically what I wrote up there. He told me he was 18 years old and worked at an ICT company as an apprentice. He seemed to have many of the same interests I did, which was a little cool, because it gave us a lot to talk about. I casually told him that my web browser was acting up, to which he said, "Hey, I'm great with computers. My job involves working with computers. You should totally download this application, and I'll see what I can do." With a huge amount of enthusiasm. Me, being as innocent as I was, I agreed. The application he told me to download was either TeamViewer or Slashtop Streamer. The reason I wasn't hesitant was because there wasn't anything on my computer, no personal details, just come school work, video games. It was pretty neat that he could just control my computer like that. I messaged Chris saying that I'm popping downstairs for 5 minutes and that I'd be right back. I came back in within 3 minutes of seeing him erasing my web history. This didn't seem sketchy, as I had a problem with my browser at the time. I asked him after he was done what he was doing, and he said that the problem is all fixed. And it was. I thanked him, and we spoke about 20 more minutes. We planned to speak the following evening with some tags, so the system matched us together. The next evening, we proceeded to speak. This time, however, he started acting up, asking why I was late, and that I said I was going to come online at 8 p.m. Now, I don't remember the exact time, but I know for a fact that I was not even late max 15 minutes. I told him not to speak to me like that, and why he was acting like a friggin' idiot for. He went on saying, "Sorry, honey, I hope you can forgive me, I love you." Now, I'm not into guys, and these messages were freaking me out. I told him to stop, and he just sent me a few smiley faces. He then went to say, "I know where you live. You live in this town. I know what school you go to, and things of that sort." Our town is a small one, and there wasn't any way that he could have guessed that. Things were uneventful for the next few days, until the following Saturday, when I went shopping with my friends. We all grabbed something to eat, and just sort of chilled on one of the benches chatting. A man then popped next to us, asking if he could sit down. I was a little apprehensive, but my friend said they're public seats and that we shouldn't stop him. He was standing on my friend's side, but when we allowed him to sit, he shifted right next to me. He just sat still there, not moving, not saying a word, but just looking straight. He then turned towards me and smiled. I tried to get up, but he grabbed my shoulder, to which my friend started shouting. He then started shouting himself, directly in my ear, and casually walked away. My friends walked me home that night. It got worse then, when someone started posting blank letters through the letterbox. I was unable to comprehend anything, random bangs on the door. When we went out, there wasn't anyone there. When I passed my driving test, I got a letter congratulating me. It was typed up. We still get the letters, just not as frequently. The police seem to not believe a single word, but it's supposedly being investigated. Just please let's not meet.